Well, good evening, everyone. Can anybody hear me? I see that people put no sound. I have sound on the cameras now, but can I get a thumbs up if I hear you can hear me? Hey, Dave. Hey, John Benicki. Hey, Zoe. Hey, Dwight. Great. Glad you can hear me. Good. Yeah, I just put that video up just to take some time off. And I got one subway train running good. The inside track train was running good too, but then it would stop at a spot. In camera 2 in the upper right, you can see it way in the background. There's a dead section of track there. And I kept on cleaning it with one of these things. And it still would stop every so often. Then I put my tester up there and the track's dead. And then I look closely and it's only maybe a 4 or 5 inch piece of track, and it's insulated on both ends because that's the section of track that I had trouble with up there. And so I got to take that piece off and put some metal joiners in there, and then that'll power that section. So at least I found out what it was. So after the show tonight, I'll fix that, and then I should be good to go with the inside train. Took a while to get that one section there worked out because I originally had hold on a second. Hey Jim, I'm on my show now. I'll call you afterwards, okay? Okay. I'll call you after the show. Thanks, bye. And I had these things on there, and they would crisscross, and they would hesitate going in the diamond. Then I got a Pico one that had the frogs powered, and they still didn't work right. So then I got this from Jason the Train Freak, which is a Walters double crossover. And this didn't work out because this doesn't have powered frogs. So I ordered another one to replace it, and now it works perfect through there. So now it's all set, and then I can finish up putting the tunnels in place and all that after I get that one section of track fixed out. So that's what was going on there. And I got all 4 of my 3D printers printing right now in the background. I don't know if you can see. If I move the camera, that direction. That's my 3D printer table. I had to rearrange it. I had a disaster the other day. Right there where the Anycubic resin printer is, the one with the yellow top on it, that was on the other side of the table. And the Bamboo A1, I know you guys have seen my videos on that. is I can't keep the camera there. It's on my desktop, but that was on the other side where the 3D, where the Anycubic printer is, and then I built a shelf with the brackets that Jim Tedesco gave me, and it was printing, and then all of a sudden the brackets came out of the wall and fell on the floor. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see it, I can't zoom in with this camera I got on my computer, but in the background there, it's an AWS unit, and it has 4 spools of filament on it. That's how I can print colored objects now. And that fell on the floor. And what happened was this part, oh, wait a minute, I got to change the camera now. This part on the A1, this clip that goes on that part cracked. It cracked right there. And the pressure from it falling down, because 4 tubes go into this guy, and that's how the 4 different colors get in there. Hey, John from Schuylkill Valley, welcome. Thanks for stopping in. So those 4 tubes pulled this out, and then inside the unit there where this goes down, there's a spring, and then this is spring loaded, and that goes in there and it locks in place with this. And then I got a new one. It was only $5 for the whole part, which was pretty good. Hey, Grandpa Rails, welcome. Glad to see you in here. And then I found that this part broke off too. That goes on the bottom of this piece here. And then there was a couple other little pieces in there, some plastic and one little metal piece. And that was all part of this unit here. And so I pulled them out, put the other one in, and now it's back in operation. And then I rearranged the table because that printer, the A1, has a tendency to vibrate. And it vibrated it right out of the wall because it wasn't screwed into studs, the bracket. But it was solid, but the vibration, this vibrated it right out, and then it fell on the floor. It didn't damage the AWS, it just damaged this piece here. And so, lesson learned. So now it's over there. I got an enclosure to put that in to keep it clean and everything. So that's the next thing I got to put up there. Hey, Mystic, how you doing? Glad to see you in here. And Midsummer Railway, N-Scale, how you doing? Glad to see you in here tonight. So that's what's going on. So on the Viper, I'm printing these things. It's hard to see it because it's on the black backing, but these are the bottom pieces for my oil tank cars, which is this guy here. That's that piece that goes on the bottom there. And these are what they look like. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll put it up to the camera. There you go. Now you can see it. That's what I'm printing on the Viper. On the A1 right now, I'm printing these guys. They're for the oil tank cars. And on my 2 resin printers, I'm printing parts for a water tower. That's the one that Jim Tedesco. Hey, Ray Burleson, how you doing? Glad to see you in here tonight. making the water tower. This was my first attempt at printing the one piece, and it should have been like this tall. I don't know what happened to it. So I'm printing it again on the other resin printer to see what that does. I had a lot of trouble with this thing on the resin printers. So then I decided to print this on the A1, and it printed fine. And I was able to scrape it off without breaking it. Because on the resin printers, when I printed this thing, it would crack. And I had it in a million little pieces. And I said, I can't use that. And then these are the ladders that go up the side of the tower. That's the second attempt of that thing. And so I got bits and pieces of different 3D printing projects going on here. Yeah, did you hear that, JD? Yeah, it finished. What's nice is I then last night after I put the A1 back together, it only took me a few minutes to get that part in. I had trouble getting it in because I didn't realize that these other little parts were still inside there that I had to get out. Once I got them out, then the thing snapped right in. So the first test was to print me a scraper. And this scraper is a file that comes right on the A1. So it's 3 pieces. The scraper, this part here, and then the holder for it, which is over there in the by the printer. And then inside the package that Bambu gives you in the toolkit, you get the 2 screws and you get the blade. This blade is really sharp and it scrapes off real nice off of the build plate. So I tested it out. Yes, I did print the poop bucket too. So I have that mounted on the printer because it produces a lot of waste when you're 3D printing color. When you're printing multiple colors, what it does is when it changes color, the print head runs over to the side of the printer, and then on that side there's a cutter there, and it runs through there. The filament comes down, then it cuts it, makes a clean cut. That way the filament can go back through the tube clean without any clogs or anything. So all that stuff that's left there, the filament, then gets pushed down when the new color comes in, and that makes the little balls and everything. And so you get these little balls of color. Plus, it prints a small flush tower in the corner of your build plate, and each color it makes print, and then it goes and prints a little bit, then it goes back over there to still make sure there's good flow coming out of the nozzle. So it's very well designed and it works really nice. So I was happy that the part took me a little while to figure out, and then now it's operational and it printed, and yeah, that part printed. This here part here, I printed this on the Viper, and it was a little bit bowed. And what was happening was when I put the trucks on it with the wheels would be off the track. So I had to Good night, Zoe. Thanks for stopping in. Catch you next time. And so on A1, I said, let me try printing on the A1, and then it printed it nice and flat. So now I got these to put in. See, they go, this goes, oh, I got a tank here. This goes onto the tank like so. It snaps in there like that. And then these here go on there like that. And then I have the parts that go underneath there. I haven't printed them yet on the A1. I want to see if there's any difference. So I got it. I'm just making all the parts. I'm going to make 30 of these oil tank cars. So I got all 30 of the yellow parts done. That took a while to get them done. And now I got 30 of the other parts. And then this bogie here has a short tab on it. That's to add the coupler to it. And this bogie here has a longer tab on it to add the coupler on there. These are 158 KDs I got. And the reason why I have two different sizes is because when you put this on, the trucks are mounted there and there, and this one is further away than this one is from the edge. So they got a longer pad here. So I had to get the coupler mounted that way so it would line up with my KD coupler. Because before they had it on the top of the bogie. And so that was way too high. And I thought about putting it on the frame here, but that was too high. So then I said, okay, the trucks, and then I redesigned the truck with the tab on it. Then I can just glue the coupler box right on top of it. So a little work, but the one's 4 millimeters long and the other's 13 millimeters long. "20 years ago, when my barber asked how to cut my hair, I said only the gray ones." Very funny. Yeah, Grandpa Rails. Yeah, that's my design. Yep. Took a while to get it, but looking at videos, they're Shell oil tank cars. So that's what I've been doing here. And I printed these signal boxes. And what I do is I printed this sign, and then that gets on the side of this building, and then I put a number in there. And this goes next to my turnouts. Then I know that this is for turnout 164 or 165 or whatever one it is. So I had to do 4 of them. That was for that double crossing that I have on the subway system. So I'll glue them up there. Tinkercad, JD, Tinkercad. That's where I do everything in, is Tinkercad. And it's your 3D printing best friend, is Tinkercad. So, and Jim Tedesco and I have been bouncing files back and forth. And my first attempt of printing this ladder, I added supports because I knew it was going to be a pain in the neck to print. And I printed this on the resin printer because I know the filament printer would never do this ladder. and the supports were all inside on all the rungs. And this here, cutting them off, and it broke. See how this broke and everything, because it's just a little too thin. It needs to be a little thicker. So then Jim, I sent him my printer models, and then in his Lychee program, he sliced it for me and sent me in the file, and then I printed it on my resin printer. So yeah, Tinkercad is free, John. That's why I use it, because there's a lot of CAD programs out there. I was in electronic engineering before I got into the computer field, and that was before computers. So all the stuff we designed was on a drafting board, and with a T-scale and a compass to make the circles and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's web-based. That's correct, John. That's correct. John number 2, I should say. And so that's what I use to. And then Jim Tedesco helps me out a lot. He's better at it than I am. Yeah, AutoCAD, right. I've used AutoCAD in the past, but then I think they went to a lot of the CAD software, and a lot of the software now you get is subscription based. It's not license based. So you have to pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee. I want to buy the software and then I have it. I don't want to have to pay a fee every month for a piece of software. Especially, I've been in computers for over 40 years, and I've seen it. You know, you buy a license and then you have it. So it's this is the way it is, you know. So, but that's how it works. Then I ordered these weights here. I need 9 of these to go inside the oil tank car to make it weigh 4.5 ounces, because these are 50-foot well car or tank cars, and a 50-foot needs to be 4.5 ounces. And with those 9 weights and all the parts together, it comes out to 4.51 ounce or something like that. So it's close enough, and that'll keep them weighted and keep the wheels on the track when they run. Because these are going to be for my refinery that I have up on my third layout. Right now, I got a siding that goes into the refinery, and I just have a bunch of cars that I didn't have a place for yet. I just put them there, but I'm going to put these up there, and I have another train that I'm going to work out, and I'll run these on that train. So it's let's see. I was wondering if that subway train stopped. Looks like it might have. It's hard to tell. Yeah, sometimes they those MTH decoders are very finicky sometimes. So I'll have to check that out later. I'm going to bring that down, bring me up. There we go. So the Viper there I had a very small spool of black. I had a box. You get about 7 or 8 different colors in this box. I said, well, let me use the black because I needed to make these parts black for the oil tank car. And so I'm using that up, and hopefully it'll finish uh, that piece, because that piece I need to put the raft on. That's what this thing is here. It's a raft, and that takes that's like 3 layers of filament to make the raft, and then that makes sure that the part stays on the build plate. Because if I print this without any raft, it all balls up into a big ball, and then it won't print. So that's why you need to use a raft sometimes. But some parts you don't need supports, depending on how well it's on the build plate and stuff like that. So, but the resin printers back there, one's a 5-hour print and the other one's a 4-hour print. So it's going to take a while for them to finish. Yeah, that train stopped on the back end. I don't know why. I have to check that out. Because that's the outside track, and I haven't had any problems up there. I just think that engine probably is warm. I got to find out why that's getting that way. So we'll see. So yeah, so let's see. Anybody in here I didn't say hello to? Nikki, so that's Midway Rails, that scale I said hello to. Dave BNSF, I said hello to. And John Benicki gets the cookie for today. He was the first one in. Oh, and Randall. I forgot to say hello to Randall. How you doing, Randall? Got carried away here. Always good to see everybody in here. I've been trying to watch everybody's videos, and I always comment on everybody's video when I watch it. That way they know I seen it. And I never give a negative comment. It's always something good. So we'll have to get a copy of it. What do you need a copy of, John Benicki? Just trying to catch up on everybody's. So Dwight, where'd you get the rabbits from? I saw your video. Did you 3D print them, or did somebody send them to you? Still out there, Dwight? So just got up. Yeah. Well, my day starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get to work by 8 o'clock, and then I leave at 4 o'clock, and I'm home around 6 o'clock. So it's a long day every day. But today I worked from at home because I had a serviceman coming. I didn't know it until yesterday late. They notified me that there was something wrong with my solar system. And so they came out and replaced the part. The part's called an inverter, and it converts the current from the solar panels to the electricals panel and electrical box out there. I wondered why my electric bill was really high last month, and they said, yeah, that causes it. So it's really so they came. They were here. He was here for about 2-3 hours and got it working. So we'll see what happens, because I generate enough energy to run this whole house for, even through the winter. During Christmas, my electric bill was like, I don't know, $18-20. So even in the wintertime, it generates electricity here, but not as much as during the summertime. So it was good that they just noticed it, and then they came automatically and didn't have to worry about doing anything. So I worked from home and did some work around here. These were those things I printed on the A1. I put a video up today. A lot of people saw them already. But these are the clearance markers that I have on my layout. And it's red, white, red, yellow, red. And I printed these on my Viper before, but I only could change 2 colors. So I had to make 2 of these. Hey, Alfonso, how you doing? So I had to make them in 3 different pieces. I had to make the red and the white, the red and the yellow, and then just the red. And then I had to glue them all together. And that was a real pain in the neck. So I said, since I got the A1, I'm going to redo them all, because some of them, when I printed the the different layers on the Viper, they weren't as around as a cylinder. Thank you, JD. And yeah, 14-13. That's not bad. Who didn't hit the like button? So I don't really care. What it is what it is. So I got them, Alfonso. Tammy sent me your email, and I got the files. So I'm gonna print them on the big resin printer, and that should print the whole thing. That way you don't have to put them together. So I should be able to get to them early next week. So back to this guy. So then I said, okay, now that I can print multicolors on the A1, it's pretty easy. I printed this, the height I needed, and the diameter I needed, and then I painted this all red first. Then I used the tool on Bamboo Studio, and this moved the white color to the spot here, and then I made that 4 millimeters tall, and it automatically put it there. And then I did the same thing for the yellow. I made it 4 millimeters tall. So, and that's how I painted it on there, and then boom, they printed. My first attempt of printing it was, and it was real small. The file size was way too small. So, but at least I tested the color print. So that's red, white, red, yellow, red. Same thing with that. Then I creased it but this quite wasn't tall enough. So this was 18 millimeters, and I decided to make it 20 millimeters tall. So that way you can see it. And then all I got to do is um, replace this with the one that's there, and then I won't have to sit there and mark them off. But in this here container, there's 80 of them. That's how many I got. Yeah, I have the address, Alfonso. Don't worry. I'll send it to that. Yeah, that's all in the email. I seen that, so I can just print that out and send it to you once I'm done with them. You need this two. How many you need, Alfonso? Two? Of the all-in-one. How many you need? Just tell me. Just put the number in the chat, and I'll remember. So, okay, great. I'll make two of them for you. I'm going to make them in gray resin. Is that okay? Okay, good. Yeah, I saw the braille on your photos that you sent. Yeah, I saw that on there. So I'll test it out. I'll send you a picture of it. And then if you like it, then I'll print the second one and then I'll ship it to you. So and the next thing on my agenda is cleaning the rest of the track so I can get the other trains running. Finally, I got all the trains off. They're all over the place. I got them on top. You can see behind me that Sysrax cabinet. I got a lot of engines up there, and I had to take the engines off anyway because they all have Tasami 2 decoders in them, and that's a good question, Alfonso. Um, the resin is not as tough as the filament is, and these here cars are all 3D printed on filament, and I'll be able to pull 30 of them with no problem. So, and I 3D printed other cars, and everything, all the parts on them are all 3D printed in either resin or filament, and none of them failed. The only thing I got failing was the trucks for the cars. But then I finally got a truck to print out correctly. But then I had the wrong wheel in the trucks. They weren't long enough, and they were falling out all the time. So then I got the right wheel, and now because on my Helix, when I was showing all the cameras, I don't know if you saw my Helix in the lower right corner. On there, I have all my well cars because I 3D printed all those well cars, and I just replaced all the trucks and the wheels on all my well cars. And they wouldn't go up the helix before. They would bind and come off, and that was what was going on. The wheels were falling out and everything. So now with these new wheels and trucks, they go around the helix with no problem. So that's going to be an op session for me, moving those container well cars into the yard where they belong. And I have to clean the yard track. Then I'm going to ballast all that track. Then I'll clean it again, and then I'll start moving the cars into the yard. So, hi Todd, how you doing? Glad to see you in here tonight. So that's what's going on with that. So all, like I was saying, all the engines are off. They're all up there. And I had to reset the CVs in there because I was, with the new engine I just put in, I was testing it on my workbench. And same here, Todd. And when I would go to 0, it kept on going. It wouldn't stop. And I had CV3 and CV4 set. CV3 was set to, I think, a 75, and CV4 was 150. So I had to change all the CV3s and the CV4s in all my engines. So now I have a value of CV3 is a 35 and CV4 is 75. And that's acceleration rate and deceleration rate. So now what happens is the train will slow down and only go a short distance, and then it'll come to a stop now. So that's why I have them all off. And plus, working on the layout, I don't need them on there and getting dirty from me drilling holes and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a major cleaning of the layout, and then clean the track. Then I'll be able to put them back on and start running the trains again. So hope to have them ready. So, getting ready. Hopefully I'll have them all running by Christmas time. So the third level needs ballasting done with the new section I put on. I didn't get there yet. So my trains are all DCC, Alfonso. I don't use DC. When I was a kid, didn't have DCC, and I ran DC. Matter of fact, I have a couple of those engines that are DC that I'm going to switch over to DCC eventually. One of these days. They're F7s. I've had them since 1960 something. So they still run. Yeah, it was running, but the train stopped, Todd. So I'm gonna, I got to check out some things on it. I have one dead. You weren't here earlier, but I did find a dead section of track. And the only reason it's dead is because it has insulator joiners at both ends. And that's the section of track that I was swapping out. Double diamond crossings, this double crossover that doesn't have powered frogs, and the last one I put in, which is similar to that double crossover, is a Walter. It's another Walter double crossover, but it has powered frogs. So Well, it depends if it has. Hey, James, welcome. Thanks for stopping in. Alfonso, just make sure it has resistors on it, on the wires. Any signals or anything I use, I put resistors on every wire for every LED and the common wire. That way I don't have any problems with any signals or lights, even lights that I put in buildings. I put a resistor on the plus wire. That way I can use 14 volts DCC or a 12 volt DC power supply. And that'll work. Just as long as you have resistors on your lights or even your motors or anything like that. Like my oil fields that I have those pump motors running. They're on a 12 volt DC power supply. Hey, Derail Daryl, welcome. How you doing? Glad to see you make it in here. Are you at work still, or are you home, or in the garage, or at work? Glad you can make it. And so Alfonso, that's all you have to worry about is make sure you have resistors on your wires, and then you won't have a problem using a DCC friendly signal on a DC power supply. So I always, I have a workbench, and my workbench has a DC power supply and DCC power cap from NCE. And then I have a toggle switch, and I can switch back and forth if I need DC. If I have a DC engine, I want to make sure it works before I convert it to DCC. So, and then I test the lights on my DCC system, and I put a just got home. Very good, Derail. That's the most important thing, is kiss the wife when you come home. I can't get my DCC locomotive to work with DC current. It depends on the decoder, Alfonso. Some decoders have a setting in there that you need to set so you can run it as DC. So you have to find out what decoder it is, and then look at the CVs, and one of the CVs will tell you if you can use DC or not. I know in the Tasami 2s you can set a value in one of the CVs, and then you can run it a DCC engine on a DC track. So there is a way to do it. It depends on the decoder. I don't know anything about any other decoders except for Tasami 2s. That's all I have here. I mean, 95% of them are Tasami 2s. The others are MTH, and I got a couple of digital decoders, but they're going to be swapped out because Soundtrax came out with mini decoders, and my switchers have those DH123s, and I'm going to put Tsunami 2s in there. But that's for when I retire. That'll be a retirement project to work on those engines. No, James, I don't use ESU. I had 3 or 4 engines that came with ESU, and I took them out. I had issues with the ESU of they don't function the way I want them to. I'm not saying they're bad decoders, or I didn't have any problems with the decoders. The engines ran, but there's certain functions that I can't get out of an ESU that I can get out of a Tasami 2. So no, I don't use ESU because of the way I run my railroad here. So, and you don't like sound, but I have sound, and I want sound to be just the way my engines are set up. I have chatter on the engines; it runs all the time, and the chatter is on. You can't do that in an ESU. If you can, they couldn't tell me how to do it. I like my lights to come on when I power on the engine, and I don't like hitting buttons to get things to come on. Other people might like to do that. I don't. I like when I turn on my NCE system, the engines fire up, they're ready to go, and the lights are on, and the horns play. The horns sound when the engine moves forward. It sounds when it moves in reverse. The bell rings automatically at a certain speed step, then it goes off after a certain while. So these are all functions that I have in my Tasami 2 that I couldn't get out of the ESU, and ESU support couldn't direct me the way when I talk to Soundtrack support. I think the Soundtrack support is far superior than the ESU support of the people that I talk to at ESU. So I'm not saying ESU the decoders are bad. I don't want to say anything bad about them, but they just don't do what I'm looking for, and Tasami 2 does. One thing nice about an ESU is you can dump down sounds into the decoder, and you can play your own sounds in there. You can't do that in a Tasami 2. If they could do that, then you would have everything you needed. But plus, you need to purchase. I think the ESU software to modify the decoders. You have to purchase it or something. And I said no, because I downloaded the software and I couldn't do that. So no one in your area will install those for me. Well, yeah, I know it's tough to see those little tiny wires when you're putting the decoder in. And my mistake of doing decoders was I wasn't using flux. And I found John, well, I'm not at a club. I used to be a real long time ago, but then the gentleman who ran the club, he passed away. He was very old. I was in my 20s at the time, and he passed away, and the club dissolved, which was sad. He had a shed in the backyard. I think it was a caboose that he converted into a club train room and stuff. It was pretty cool. We used to go there and run trains and everything. It was nice, but at home, I'm the only person here besides my dog, so I can make it as loud as I want or as quiet as I want. So anyway, back to the ESU thing. I got the ESU software on my laptop that I have on my workbench, and for some reason it wouldn't work, and it was asking me to get a license file. And for the life of me, I thought you had to purchase something to get that to work, or I thought you needed a piece of hardware to get it to work. I don't know. So I said, hey, that's too complicated for me. And well, she comes over and helps me, and sometimes she stays for the weekend. And she loves to paint, so all my models, um, she paints. Like she helped me paint the people for the subway system and all that kind of stuff. And uh, she comes over, and she don't mind the noise either. She likes to train. So I finally found somebody that likes to do something that I like to do. So that I think she's a keeper. So um, I sent her the link. I didn't see her come on here tonight. She has to take care of her grandson at nighttime sometimes. So and so anyway, so that's my experience with the ESU. So I went with the Sami 2, and since I use JMRI, hey Steve 87, welcome. And since I use JMRI, and I know a lot of people don't use JMRI, but I use JMRI. I've used JMRI for a long time. Ever since I started my layout, I had JMRI. And on that laptop on the workbench, I just installed the Decoder Pro program on that laptop, and then I just read in the CVs from the engine when it's on the test track, and it puts all the CV settings in a file, and then boom, um, I have the file there, and then I copy that over to my primary JMRI laptop, and I go from there. So everybody's saying hello to everybody. A good sample of people here today. It's great to see everybody. So I saw you posted a video, JD. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. I'll look at it tonight before I go to bed. Your September video. 18 and 15. Hey, we're moving up, JD. So, yeah, so it's been, pretty busy with all this printing and stuff, and, running into little problems here and there. So you gotta, um, figure them out, and then go up on Tinkercad, make changes, and resize this, resize that. This like getting this truck to print right on the Viper. It printed out, and underneath here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it's not as crisp as this one is. So this was done on the A1, and when this came off of the Viper, I had to spend a half an hour to clean out all the hairs and the filament blobs that are in here to get the wheels to go freely. And then on the top of it, it has 4 slots there in a circle, and on the bottom the screw that goes through, and then you can put a screw in to screw. See, there's a screw there. It's a small 256 screw, real small, and that screws on that pin, and then that pin slides into there, and then that stays in there. and that what keeps the truck on. Well, they call them bogies. These truck. So bogey, truck, whatever you want to call them. But that's how it works. Yeah, just push the train, right. Explain old school, no scenery, DC on a 4x8 sheet down. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I used to have, a 4x8. That was in my parents' house. And then I was able to move it into the basement. Then there I had two 4x8s. And I had the HO, not slot cars. They were race cars. You had a controller, two lanes, and then they had an HO scale railroad crossing. So I put that on, ran the trains through, and then we used to run the cars into the train and knock them over and everything. It was fun stuff. Then I got married, and then we moved into an upstairs of a house, and then above us was an attic. And the attic was 40 feet deep and maybe 20 feet across, but it was angled up and then to the peak. So it was angled like that. So you didn't have much headroom, but I put a huge layout up there. And a year after I started that, I had track laid and I could run trains, but I was working on putting up scenery, and that was back then you had plaster of Paris. What a mess. Big control panel with variable motors to run the trains. Then we decided to build a house, and that took away that, and I had to take all that down. Then when we built the house, I didn't have a spot to put the trains. So then the children came along, and I had a big enough property I could have put a shed out in the back and put up a big train, but I didn't think of it then. So then after I got divorced, I started moving around in apartments, and I didn't want to get N scale because that's too small. And it looks nice, but it's too small. I got fat fingers. And my fat fingers are hard to get to work on the HO scale stuff. So, yeah, that's right, James. One level. But I like complicated things, James. I like the wiring challenges that you have, many levels. So I think right now I have 5 different levels on my layout. It's not 5 right up. I got 1 level, 2, then the yard is another level, but the 3rd level is the one by the ceiling. Then I got a level underneath the 3rd level, which is the subway system. So it's 4 or 5 different levels. And when the room is only, I think it's 14 feet wide and by 20 some feet long, but there's 3 doors in that room. The door out of my office goes into the train room. The door out of the kitchen, there's 4 doors. The door out of the kitchen goes into that room. The door is a double glass sliding door. It goes out to the backyard out of that room. And the front door to the house goes into the train room. So I couldn't go 1 level all the way around the room. I would have needed 4 lift gates. And I saw all the problems everybody was having with lift gates when I first started. And I says, I don't think I want to do that. So, I mean, I could crawl underneath it, but I have people that come over to the house that take care of my dog when I'm not there. I'm not going to expect them to crawl underneath, and I have to lift it. And the doors open inward, so I couldn't have a lift up. I'd have to have a tip up instead. That way I could tip it up and lean it back. That way, then the door could open freely. The doors that go from my office to the training room, it's one of those in the wall doors. It slides in there, so I wouldn't have any problem there. I could leave that open all the time, and then I could crawl underneath to get in my office and whatever. And the door from the kitchen dining area going into the training room, the same thing. It's a door into the wall. So, and the sliding glass door, that doesn't open in or out. That just slides back and forth. So, but the helix is in front of the one pane on the double glass door. So that's where I made that so it would fit there. And so that's how that is. So yeah, Dwight, you have a 4x8 and it does the job. Yep. And you run a lot of trains, don't you, Dwight? All the time. So yeah. Okay, James. Thanks for stopping in. And yeah, so anybody that wants to watch Heath, don't forget he's on. I don't know what disasters he's creating. I saw his preview today saying, "Will this work or not?" So he's up to something. So, but let me just nah, that's okay. Well, anybody have any questions for me or concerns? Don't hesitate to email me if you need anything 3D printed. Let me know. I'll be glad to do it for you. Don't expect it the next day. As you can see, I'm 3D printing. I have 4 3D printers going, and it's busy, and it's all for me. So, yeah, that's right, John. That's what you got to be. You got to be happy with what you got. And I'm happy with what I got. I just have some, just working on details now. Things that I wanted, like oil tank cars. I only had 3 or 4 of them. And then I saw that challenge come, and I said, that's not much of a challenge with just 4 tank cars. So I said, let me make tank cars. So I designed that, made it, and started printing them. So, okay, Todd, thanks for stopping in. We'll catch you later. And so, like I said, anybody wants to go watch Heath, you're more than welcome. Doesn't bother me one way or other. I've talked enough on here anyway. And like I said, if anybody doesn't have any questions or anything, I think I'm going to call it quits for tonight. Once again, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that stopped in. I appreciate it. And hope to see you all in the next video. And I don't know who's on next week. Week 1, Cab Crew Wednesday, I'm not sure. I know, I hope everybody, I think Randall, somebody told me about Plummer was in the hospital. So please keep him in your prayers, and we'll hope for better things for Mr. Plummer, and hope to see him again soon. And just want to say good night to everybody, and we'll see you all next time. Everybody take care. Good night.